So we have 8 to the power of x plus 2 to the power of x is equal to 130. And our question is to find x. So the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite 8 to the x as 2 to the power of 3x. And then we have 2 to the power of 3x plus 2 to the power of x is equal to 130. And if we rearrange this, we get 2 to the power of 3x plus 2 to the power of x minus 130 is equal to 0. And that's our equation. So now what I'm going to do is let y be equal to 2 to the power of x. And if we substitute this back into the equation, we get y cubed plus y minus 130 is equal to 0. And that's the equation we need to solve. So here we have a cubic equation. And to help us solve this equation, we can use the factor theorem, which states that if f of p is equal to 0, then x minus p is a factor. Therefore, for this equation, if we let y equal 5, then the equation comes out to be 125, which is 5 cubed, plus 5 minus 130, which all sums to 0. And therefore, y minus 5 is a factor. We can use this to help us factorize the equation, because now we know that y minus 5 times by something is equal to 0. And we can work out what this something is. And we can do this using algebraic division. So if we draw a table with y and minus 5 on one side, we can calculate what we need to multiply this by to get our equation, y cubed plus y minus 130. So y multiplied by what gives y cubed? Well, that's just going to be y squared. So we get y cubed. But as a byproduct, we also get y squared times by minus 5, which is minus 5y squared. And since we have no y squared terms in our original equation, we need to get rid of this minus 5y squared. And how do we do that? By multiplying the y by plus 5y. Because then we get minus 5y squared from here, and it cancels out because we get plus 5y squared from these two terms multiplying. And as a byproduct, we also get 5y times by minus 5, which is just minus 25y. And in terms of the y term, in this equation, we have just plus 1y. So, since we already have minus 25y here, we need to add 26y onto this to get plus 1y. And we do this by multiplying y by 26. So we get 26 times by y, which is just 26y. And since we have to multiply by minus 5 as well, we also get minus 130. And if we collect our like terms, we see that clearly minus 5y squared and positive 5y squared cancel out, and minus 25y plus 26y gives us 1y. And here we have minus 130. So we end up with our original equation when we multiply y minus 5 by y squared plus 5y plus 26. So now we have our equation, which is factorized, which is just y minus 5 times by y squared plus 5y plus 26 is equal to 0. And now we can solve this equation. So from this, we know that either y minus 5 is equal to 0, or and y squared plus 5y plus 26 is equal to 0. From this first equation here, we know that y is equal to 5. But for the second equation, we actually have a quadratic equal to 0. And we can actually check how many solutions a quadratic has using the discriminant, which is just b squared minus 4ac. And in this case, we can substitute this equation into the b squared minus 4ac to see how many solutions it has. So we know that b is just 5, so b squared is 25, minus 4 times by a, which is just 1, and c, which is 26. So we get 25 minus 4 times by 26, which is just 25 minus 104, which is clearly negative. So since b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, the discriminant, therefore this quadratic has no real solutions. And therefore we're left with a singular solution of y is equal to 5. But from before, we know that we substituted 2 to the power of x as y, so now we can solve that. So we know that 2 to the power of x is equal to y, which is just 5. And now, using logs, we know that log x to the base 2 is equal to log 5. And therefore, if we divide both sides by log 2, then we get log x to the base 2 divided by log 2 is equal to log 5 divided by log 2. And on the left-hand side, we can see that the log 2's cancel out to give us that x is equal to log 5 over log 2. And if you put this into your calculator, you get around 2.32 as your final answer to 3 significant figures. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. It really helps out a small creator like me. And let me know in the comments what I should do next.